Hi, everyone. Welcome back to CAHS Career Prep, where we talk all about how to get you ready for a career in arts, humanities, and social sciences. I'm Nicole McDavid, and in today's episode, we will be talking all about LinkedIn. And to discuss this topic, we have professional Riunita Martin here with us today. Thank you for coming,
Oh, you're
Riunita.
welcome. Thank you for having me, Nicole. It's great to see you again.
It's good to see you too.
Thank you.
Riunita has spent over 21 years in corporate business educating, leading change, and connecting business objectives to people's strategy within organizations to foster diverse ideas and inclusive environments. She has been able to gain and apply her knowledge of HR across 4 industries to include telecommunications, aerospace, DoD, law enforcement, ATF, and banking. Riunita has worked in government contracting for over 12 years and held various HR positions advising organizations with multi state footprints and up to 20,000 employees. She currently works in the manufacturing industry as an HR leader for ATI Materials. And I love that you added this to your professional introduction. So I just want to say it at the beginning. These are Reunita's words, and we're going to quote it down. Is LinkedIn is a platform that can take you from nowhere to somewhere rather quickly. The networking and branding capabilities outweigh any other strategy I have seen via social media. And that's it, y'all. That's the show.
It's a wrap.
That's a wrap. That's all we need to say. I mean, that's kind of it.
Yeah,
And
it's true.
I think that really leads well into talking about why LinkedIn is not only important as a platform, when you're in the workforce, but why it's important to start it in college. So you can talk maybe a little bit more about that. Why do students need to go ahead and start it in college? Because that's a common question
Oh
I
yeah.
hear.
Well, in college, you're working on pursuing a career,
Right.
and you're pursuing that industry or that profession that you want to work in. So why not use a professional platform to get you there? And you can start with small steps by networking early on, right when you get to college. And over those 4 years, you build up your brand, you create your brand, I'll say, and you build it. And then you build connections and relationships as you go. And at the end of that, you could end up with a job.
Yeah.
Throughout that, you could end up with an internship.
Right.
So it's good to build those connections early on and let them watch you grow and progress so that they get a really good look at you to see, hey, this person right here is going to be something. They have quality. When they get done with that degree, I want to talk to them.
Yeah.
And it does happen that way for a lot of people. It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. So what should students kind of think about when they're beginning to create their LinkedIn? What are maybe some must haves that you want to include on your LinkedIn page?
Well, the must have for one for me is a professional picture. I think that's gotten lost along the way with a lot
Okay.
of people,
Yeah.
both young and older.
Yeah.
A professional headshot is extremely important, and one where you're actually smiling and you look
Right.
pleasant.
Yes.
Not saying you don't look pleasant on ones that you're not smiling, but you definitely want to make sure that you have a professional headshot, you look pleasant on it, and it's the first thing they see when they click on your LinkedIn page. That is the first thing people see. And even if they don't see your name, when they're scrolling through LinkedIn, they see pictures first.
Right.
So you want to make sure that your picture gives the best identification of you
Yeah.
whenever it's on LinkedIn. The other thing is you want to make sure that when you format like your education or your certifications or your work history, that you don't put your entire resume
Okay.
there
Yeah.
because you want to give them something to look forward to when they do
Right.
get your resume or when they do bring you in for an interview. So for me, I just like to put my title, the company, how long I've been there, and a snippet, just a synopsis of what I do
Okay.
or what I'm responsible for,
Yeah.
not my entire resume.
Right.
So that then maybe they can look at that and say, hey, I want to hear more.
Yeah.
And that
Okay.
leads them to wanting to call me in for an interview or wanting to reach out to me and say, hey, I want to find out more about you.
Yeah.
So just give them a little bit to entice them. That's what I believe in.
Yeah.
Give them a little bit to entice them and then give them the rest later. So you want to make sure you have a headshot, your profile is in order based on your jobs, and that you give a synopsis of what you do and not your entire resume.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
And I think it's really great for students to take advantage of throughout the year at UAH, and even if
Mhm.
you're not a student at UAH or a student somewhere else and listening to this, it is probably multiple times during a semester there are opportunities to get a professional
Oh
headshot done.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we have
Mhm.
had times where within our college students have been able to get a professional headshot
Mhm.
done. At the university level, our library has had a time where they've had opportunities. So
Okay.
you really want to take
Take advantage
advantage
of
of
it.
that
Mhm.
because headshots can be expensive
Oh
to get.
yes, yes,
Yeah, and
yes.
so having that opportunity to just have that picture, and I feel like that's so incredibly important, especially with the clarity of
Yep,
it.
yep.
That's one of the things that I have found the most is that, like, when I'm looking at the maybe different posts and you can kind of see a small picture from somebody,
Right.
you can tell the clarity between it. I mean, and so like somebody, like, I can kind of see who that person is instantly, and there's others that if the picture is more pixelated, it looks kind of foggy almost and more
Right.
difficult to see. So that's really important that you want to have
Oh,
good
absolutely.
clarity
And then
in
some
that
people take
picture.
selfies like in different places, and you got background,
Yeah.
and they don't realize what's in the background and things of that sort, and they post it. So you want to make sure it's just a professional headshot. You don't have to worry about background. You don't have to worry about clarity or anything like that. You know it's going to be a professional picture and it's going to work.
Yeah.
Hmm.
For the header part of it, because I know that LinkedIn has something kind of similar to Facebook where you've got the picture and then you've got kind of that header part
Hmm.
up top where you can also put an
Yep.
image.
Hmm.
What should students think about with that particular image? Should they put anything there, or
Well, you're talking about like the back piece after
yes, like
your
that
heading, that
back
back
piece?
piece. Well,
Yeah.
it just depends. Some people, for me, I have a business name on the back, which is my business name. But in the past, I've had like a desk, a work desk in the background, a bookcase in the background, just anything that looks studious and professional in the background. I wouldn't put any type of like characters or
Right.
designs or anything like that. But anything that relates to maybe what you want to do or what you're doing at the moment,
Yeah.
that's professional.
Yeah, and I think that definitely if you are in the areas within our college, like
Yeah.
in graphic design,
Right.
art, animation, that's an opportunity with that background kind of header image to also show those skills. And
Hmm.
so I've seen before,
Hmm.
sometimes people will even show like they've done like business cards and it shows like
Yes.
their script of their business card. And if it's really eloquently done and it's a good professional looking picture, it's very helpful
Yes,
as well.
absolutely. I've seen
Yeah.
that too with the signature on it. Yeah, I've
Yes.
seen that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really nice.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't take away from your picture.
That's that's
That's what's
key.
important.
Yeah. You don't
You
want it to
don't you
take
don't
away.
want it to take away from the picture.
Yeah. So when you're posting on LinkedIn, I think this is a good question. And I feel like there's a range, but it definitely is not the same as other social media. So I guess this is let's do this as a two-part question. So first, how does it distinguish from other social media? And then when you're posting on it, what should you actually be posting?
Well, the distinguish it, well, and actually the lines to me have been a little bit blurred
Yeah.
over the years, but I still try to stick to, what I prefer and what I use it for. And I wouldn't use it for anything very personal. I mean,
Okay.
I use my Facebook or my Instagram for that.
Right.
An example I have is if I went to a concert in Vegas, and I just went to the concert and I took a picture of myself at the concert. I wouldn't post that on LinkedIn.
Right.
I'd post it on Facebook. That's
Right.
something that I did personal. But if I went to a charity event, and let's just say that charity event also included a concert, I'd post it on LinkedIn. Why? Because I went to a charity event. I want to post who the sponsor was of that event. Maybe a friend of someone, maybe a friend invited me, somebody, an acquaintance invited me, and they were sponsors and they had tickets and they invited me to it. And it was a event for a charity or something like that. Just happened to have a concert with it. I'd post that because it aligns with who I am as a professional and it aligns with what I do personally.
Yeah.
Meaning, I was able to go to an event that contributed to an organization to give back and help somebody else.
Yeah.
And I can highlight by tagging the person that invited me, if they're the owner of the company or they just work at the company, I can highlight them as well for being a sponsor.
Yeah.
So as long as it aligns with who you are professionally, if it's something personal, then that's fine.
Right.
But something that doesn't align professionally and it's just something that's strictly personal, I would not put it on LinkedIn.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe like not 40 pictures of your dogs.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody does
Yeah.
that. If you do, I mean,
Yeah.
to each their own. But
I mean, like comments or
yeah,
quotes or articles related to, your field or related to something you're interested in, related to the industry you're in.
yeah,
I think that's fine. I don't get into political views and things of that sort, but I do like to post those articles that I think are maybe interesting to me or maybe interesting to somebody else on my page that are in the same field.
yeah,
Yeah, and even if I don't give my personal opinion on it, it's just putting it out there. Somebody else may need to see that.
yeah.
So it's just sharing that information. And again, it's something that's professional and it's something that's related to what I do and related to something I care about professionally, not necessarily personal.
I think that's great. And that's great advice for thinking about how are you posting? What are you posting? It is aligning
Mm-hmm.
with professional. So, what area you're working in and
Right,
how does that connect? Because it really is about making connections.
right.
And what you want to create is kind of this good um, set of information that
Mm-hmm.
when somebody is maybe looking at you for a job, they can then go back
Exactly,
and see that information.
exactly.
What about commenting on posts? So if somebody has posted, are there certain ways to comment or things to comment about it? What are your thoughts on that with post commenting?
Yeah, I'm fine with commenting as long as you keep it clean,
Yeah,
as long as it's positive, and as long as it's something that doesn't hurt someone else.
yeah,
So, I mean, if I have an opinion about something, everybody knows me. If I have an opinion, I'm going to give my opinion.
yeah,
But I'm going to give it in a tactful way.
yeah,
And I'm giving it in a way to where it doesn't hurt somebody else or it doesn't demean the fact that somebody posted something. Whether I agree with them or disagree, it's just going to be in a tactful way
yeah.
to say that, well, this is my opinion on it.
And
And it's not attacking anyone.
right.
And again, it's always clean. So,
And I think that's good. And I do find that on LinkedIn, when people post stuff and comment, it does seem to be more about creating a dialogue or
hmm hmm
discourse
hmm
in a way that's different than I've seen on perhaps Twitter.
hmm
Or other sites where you kind of get that there's that moment I feel like sometimes on a lot of things, and it's various social media or even like different
yeah.
websites. That's what I've told students before. If you ever want to see like a rabbit hole of toxic information, go to the comments on people.com, like, because it's like all of a sudden it just falls apart, right? And then people are just saying stuff and it's like, how, and it's like, how did you even get to this point?
Yeah.
Like, it's not even connected anymore. So I think that's kind of the idea. It's much more focused
hmm
in a way than some other social media sites can be. And I think it's important to create that distinction because
hmm
sometimes students kind of have that thought that, like, oh, it's just another social media site, so what am I
No.
posting that's any different? And it really is focused on showcasing you
hmm
professionally.
And it's about building your brand. You're building your brand every time you post something, every time you comment on something where it's visible and people can see it.
Yeah,
So you can either add to your brand or you can take away from it. So you
yeah,
have to make a choice in your words. Sometimes you can get reeled in by reading other people's comments. So you have to be careful with that too. Don't
right,
get reeled in by other people's comments. Just know if you're gonna comment that you give a tactful comment. If you don't, then just keep scrolling
yeah,
and choose not to comment.
right,
Yeah,
yeah. And I think
but you have
that's
to be smart about commenting.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's very true
yeah.
because there is always a trail back
Oh yeah,
to
absolutely.
everything.
It
So
is.
there's always a trail back. So it's important to keep that in mind. When you're showcasing your accomplishments on LinkedIn, what should you kind of, and for students, especially as they're going through um, college, what are some
Mhm,
ways that they can showcase different accomplishments or different highlights that may be helpful? Are there different ways to do that beyond just doing like maybe a post about
mhm.
it? What are some things that perhaps they could do?
Well, if they win an award or something like that, post a picture of you receiving the award and post some related to it. A headliner that tells what the award was for and the reason why you won it and what you did to get that award. Even if it's not a picture attached to it, just something that happened or something you received, you can type that out
Yeah,
and let people know, hey, I accomplished this. I was on the dean's list last semester. I made, all A's, or or I struggled last semester and now here I am on the dean's list this
Yeah.
semester. So any type of accomplishment, you can either type that out or you can have a picture associated with it. Either one of the two. But I think it's good that you put it out there
Yeah.
because again, you're still building your brain and that adds to it. But it also shows people that you are progressive
Yeah.
and that you are learning and that even if you did post something saying, hey, I struggled last semester, but now I'm on a dean's list, that means that, hey, you're willing to put yourself out there and say, hey, I didn't do so well last semester, but I worked really hard to get to where I am now. I
Yeah.
think that means a lot, and I think a lot of people thinks that means a lot when it comes to professionals and organizations and those who are in those seats to hire and recruit. That
Yeah.
means a lot. It shows that you are willing to be vulnerable, but it also means that you have some type of kind of gutsy. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I
you
mean,
put it
yeah, if
out
you're,
there.
oh,
You're
yes.
gutsy. You put it
Yeah.
out there. So that's always a plus.
Yeah. And I definitely agree with that. I think that, when you're willing to connect in that
Mhm.
way, honestly, with
Yep.
the audience, I think that's really important.
Mhm.
Is there a maybe right or wrong way to do reach outs on LinkedIn? So let's say you go to a networking event and you meet several people there, and so you decide that you're going to connect with them on LinkedIn. Should you just, click connect? Should you send a
Mhm.
message? How do you do that follow up using it? Because that's a lot of what LinkedIn is kind of
Oh,
for in a
absolutely.
way.
Yeah. So if you meet someone out and you all connect on LinkedIn, well, for one, you need to make sure you connect with that person before you leave their presence.
Yeah.
Because you may forget their name or you may not get a card from them and you may forget to give them your card. So make
Yes.
sure you link up on each other's phone and connect at that moment. But even still, after you get, home or the next day or whenever, just send that person a personal note, telling them, hey, it was very nice to meet you. Make sure you call them by their name to show that you remember their name. And make sure you maybe note something that you remember that you all discussed. Because people like to hear that. That means that you were listening and that you were really actively in the conversation when you all had a conversation.
Yeah.
So I always like to drop a little note saying, hey, it was very nice to meet you. I recall us talking about this, this, this. I really appreciate your advice on this and your view on this that we talked about. I look forward to connecting.
Yeah.
I always try to drop that note to somebody that I meet that's new on LinkedIn.
I think that's great. And that's a great way to also, again, like once you've sent that message, then you have that
Mm-hmm.
in your inbox as well,
Exactly.
that the person has it. And I have been really amazed by, I have to, like, I will admit here, I didn't use LinkedIn a lot before this past year. I had LinkedIn, and students sometimes would even connect on me, and I would, with it, and they'd be like, Miss McDavid, I connected with you on LinkedIn. I'd be like, oh, let me go check it. And I would not connect with people. And so, because it just kind of sat stagnant in a way, like I had it created, I had some stuff on there, but I didn't really use it. But then when I stepped into this role
Mm-hmm.
in 2022 in August, I realized that I really needed to start using it because
Mm-hmm.
I was connecting with so many people. And one of the things that I have really loved and has been amazing about it is the fact that people do reach back out. People who have
Mm-hmm.
come to events and helped us out, I'll
Mm-hmm.
get follow up messages and they'll say, hey, how's it going? Do you need any help with anything? Let me know. And I'm like, this is great. And I'll be like, yes, I do. Like, I'm like, this is amazing. I'm like, yeah, I do. I need help. Yeah.
See,
No.
people remember that.
And
They really do. They
yeah.
remember that.
And that's, I think that's such a great way to connect. And I'm trying to be definitely now more
Mm-hmm.
active on it. And I think that is such an important thing for students to know because it does feel a little awkward in a way because it's not what you're used
Used to.
to.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you, and I mean, many of the students that are listening to this have grown up with social
Mm-hmm.
media.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're used to using it, they know how to use it. And when you use LinkedIn, in a way, it's the same but different.
Different.
And so there is that kind of, I feel like there's that kind of awkwardness that you feel like, should I post this on LinkedIn? Should I not? And I think that it's great to make those connections
Mm-hmm.
and do some posting and follow up and even just like liking what somebody else